I'm very grateful that I ended up using Investor's Edge, to be honest, because I think the overall journey has been excellent. I've been able to secure properties at very good price points, which I wouldn't have been able to had I gone for the auction or for this whole thing myself. The acquisition has been great. I mean, even when I compare it to the properties in the suburb, adjoining properties, I think the price point has been excellent.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Amit.
It's a pleasure, Justine. Thank you very much for having me over.
Just let's start off with, why did you choose to become a property investor? Where did your journey start?
My plan was always to invest in property in Australia once I migrated to Australia. But then I was not a very serious property investor. I mean, it was more of, buy your own house and to live in it rather than building a portfolio. But, for me, Australian property has always been from a long-term growth perspective, a safe asset. I got serious about it, as I said, 2015 onwards. And since then, I've been, regularly investing in Australian property.
With this time around, what really motivated you to go with a buyer's agent?
I moved overseas in 2007, and since then I've been living overseas. And for me, it was, logistically, it was not easy for me to go and physically inspect and all that. So that's the first or the initial sort of motivation to use a buyer's agent. But then beyond that, I think property acquisition is very sort of, you've got to be very careful with location. In a particular suburb, for example, two particular streets could have different demographics. If just because a suburb is good doesn't mean every part of that suburb is good as well. So
Exactly.
I think it's invaluable to be able to get to leverage the local knowledge. And I've realized in all my acquisitions through buyers agents that I've been able to, secure properties at very good price points. Which I wouldn't have been able to had I gone for the auction or for this whole thing myself. Even physically being in Australia, I think there are merits on using a buyer's agent. More often than not, you'll be able to recoup the cost that you incurred upfront through the value savings at the acquisition itself, let alone the fact that eventually if you end up buying a good property, the capital growth comes for that. So for me, it's been a big positive.
Excellent. And while we're on that, how was your experience with us so far? Be brutally honest, damn it.
It's been very, very good. I mean, Jared and yourself have been very professional. I would say honestly that we did have some discussions on certain propositions in the beginning where, I was not fully aligned with what your thinking was. But then I think the beauty was that it got adjusted and realigned very quickly. It's been a very smooth relationship. Perth was a new, I've never invested in Perth. I lived only in Sydney, so Perth was absolutely new to me. But I'm very grateful that I ended up using Investor's Edge, to be honest, because I think the overall journey has been excellent. And even though we lost out on a few properties where we were very keen, and then we put in offers and we couldn't, you guys were very clear that at any point in time you didn't let emotion overtake, because I was coming in purely as an investor. And I think that you kept me grounded in that sense. And I mean, there was a bit of FOMO, to be honest, because of the market dynamics. But eventually, I think what we ended up purchasing I'm very confident that it's at the right price point. It leased out exactly at the appraisal that you guys had undertaken for me and through your property management services. So for me, overall, it's been excellent.
Amazing. Thank you, Amit. How do you feel now?
Because of affordability as well and price points, I had chosen Perth to be my next property acquisition sort of city or suburb. So for me, I'm quite relieved that I've been able to enter the market, and I think the acquisition has been great. I mean, even when I compare it to the properties in the suburb, adjoining properties, I think the price point has been excellent. So I'm very confident that it's going to give me excellent capital growth going forward.
Yes.
And obviously, the rental yield right now is excellent as well.
We really appreciate your feedback and your business, Amit. It's just been really great, and I'm really happy we've achieved what you were looking for as far as getting a certain property at a certain price point, as well as achieving the rental rate. Hopefully we'll get some capital growth and you can get your next purchase underway.
Yeah, looking forward to that.